Welcome to the Binge Dietitian podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Sumner, registered dietitian, focusing on helping men and women end binge eating, end food guilt, and finally say yes to life. This podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not substitute for medical and personalized advice. Hi. So in today's episode, I got messaged on Instagram by one of you guys to do a podcast on almond moms. And after I heard that, I had to check what an almond mom is because I've never heard of that term before. But a quick Google search, then I found out what it was. Then it all made sense to me. And I was actually kind of happy, in a strange way, to find out there was a term now for these behaviors because it should be really addressed and brought into light. So, if you don't know what an almond mom is, which I didn't recently, an almond mom is basically a parent who goes overboard with restriction or has ingrained diet culture thoughts, which can easily slip into conversations, and they probably don't even know that these comments are unhelpful or toxic to your body image or relationship with food. So, do you think you have an almond mom? These almond mom behaviors would be wherein people would only have quote-unquote clean foods in the house. Not really much of the foods that would give you a great sense of pleasure or satisfaction. Almond moms would also have these kind of disordered thoughts about eating food and then trying to burn it off with excessive exercise, especially after a big meal or a quote-unquote bad food. You could also notice almond moms focusing on keeping or eating only organic versions of foods, calling foods quote-unquote clean or dirty, shaming hyperpalatable foods, such as calling pizza or donuts naughty or even poisonous for your gut. Another thing almond moms would normally do is to police the food you eat and have these very unhelpful comments like, shall I say, quote, "Nothing tastes as good as skinny feels," or "A moment on the lips is a lifetime on the hips," which for some who are trying to recover from disordered eating habits can be very dangerous and toxic. Whilst these habits might be masked as healthy eating, these behaviors could be classed as a term called orthorexia or orthorexic behaviors. Orthorexia is an extreme obsession with quote-unquote clean eating, over-exercising and avoiding foods which most would call quote-unquote bad, like your carbs, donuts, or pizza, which, by the way, if you've been following this podcast for a while, are not bad at all. And there's no good food also. Food is simply just food. If you're having this black and white thinking or good or bad, sinful or angelic, then these are actually disordered eating patterns. Research has shown time and time again that your body image most of the time can be heavily influenced by your parents or the people you hang around with, or people who take care of you at a young age. This can really affect your relationship with your food. People who have a poor relationship with their body image could have been exposed to parents commenting about themselves, about how fat they are, or how worried about they don't fit into this dress or these trousers, for example. If your parents or parental figures are eating foods on the table different than you, at a young age, this could ingrain thoughts like, "Why am I eating the fish and chips whilst my mom is eating a plain chicken salad?" I don't know about you, but living with an almond mom could be very difficult on your body image. And this might come at the best intentions, but since diet culture has been so ingrained in their life, this could be very harmful to building a safe, healthy, thriving relationship with food and your body. I'm not a parent myself, but I can only imagine that there must be this intense culture of probably avoiding post-pregnancy weight gain or to not fall into the trap of gaining weight after pregnancy. There's this culture that moms need to lose weight, or what they call baby weight, or it might give an image that if they don't lose their baby weight, they can probably be perceived as not taking care of themselves, or it might probably pass on to other parents of this image that, oh, if you're not taking care of yourself, then how can you take care of your kid well? Comment or message me on social media if you're a parent and you feel that this is true from your personal experience. And I really empathize with you, and I understand it could be really, really difficult. And whilst there might be a medical reason, which could be justified by a doctor to lose weight, if they did tell you to lose weight, we should definitely clearly remember that we should not lean on either side of the scales. We shouldn't fall into extreme, quote unquote, again, clean eating, because these are orthorexic, toxic habits which can affect your quality of life, leaving your mental health really affected negatively. And on the other side of the scale, we should try to avoid sitting down on the couch all day, just eating hyperpalatable foods, not eating much fruit and veg, doing nothing all day in an attempt to avoid extreme healthy behaviors, because this, on the other hand, can affect your physical and mental health. It's all about staying in the middle area where your mental health and your physical health are at the perfect balance. And what we need to realize is that, and I mean it at the best intentions, that your almond mom or parent isn't always right. We need to remember that almond moms, even anyone, can be a target of diet culture where these habits, if you look deep into the true essence, these habits of quote-unquote clean eating or almond mom culture behaviors are originated in guilt and fear. It can be really easy, and at times, I understand why you could be angry at your almond mom for policing your foods, judging your food choices, or commenting about your body. It might sound strange, but if you think of it, calling foods good or bad, only eating quote-unquote clean foods, pure foods, organic foods only, probably over-exercising when they're concerned about how much they've eaten or how they look. At the deepest level, these habits are coming from guilt or fear of gaining weight, because it's kind of like they've been ingrained this image of being shamed if they gain weight. Diet culture can promote these behaviors. Maybe a fitness influencer told your almond mom that if you don't have an X-size dress, you're not a good parent, or if you don't take care of yourself, how could you take care of your family? You're giving a bad image. We need to realize that these behaviors might have come from the almond mom's mother, then that mother's mother, then that mother's mother. Kind of like this generational cycle of almond moms. And we should end this cycle here, this generational cycle, this toxic cycle, this diet culture cycle of commenting about body weights, policing. There's so much research nowadays on body image that commenting on other people's bodies, focusing on orthorexic behaviors, which is obsession with clean eating, is very damaging to your mental health. Maybe they didn't have the studies back then or much awareness or the awareness of social media. So it's very important to be aware and to try to avoid this mindset as much as possible of hating your almond mom and to start having empathy for them, because, like I mentioned earlier, these habits are ultimately ingrained from fear and shame, pushed by diet culture. It's like we need to be brave and have these conversations with your parents or almond moms. We need to set boundaries with words saying things like, could you please not mention those phrases because it really makes me feel bad about my body? Or if they're a bit reluctant to make any changes, you could present them or show evidence that these habits are disordered eating patterns. You can show them videos on TikTok, Instagram, even Google, that these habits are very damaging to people's mental health. So even if it might seem healthy that you're exercising 6 times a week, trying to burn off what you've eaten, focusing on clean, organic, non-processed, gluten-free, GMO-free, and so on, that there is this thing called orthorexia, and it is really real. It can really affect your mental health. These habits are harmful, especially to impressionable children and adults who honestly aren't aware of these harmful comments and behaviors, which can be easily internalized for the rest of their life. There are more influencers or people who have been in covers of Men's Health or Women's Health magazines who are raising awareness that it wasn't worth it, that these had negative effects to their mental health, which are very damaging. It built up these unhealthy habits or mindsets that they see food as numbers. They're skipping social events with families, friends, and more. So what you can do is try to set boundaries. Try to have an honest chat with your almond mom and work together that these habits are not helpful. Here's some phrases that you can say to your almond mom, which might be helpful to keep under your belt if they've been policing your food or commenting on how you look. So you could say things like, I'd appreciate it if our conversations didn't revolve around food anymore. I don't really enjoy discussing our eating habits. Another one would be, we're all different. What works for you doesn't work for me, so let's not talk about it anymore. And another example would be, it makes me uncomfortable when we talk about this. Can we talk about something else? And if they ask the reason why, then you can just be honest. There's no need to sugarcoat it. You can honestly say that it's really affecting your mental health. It's not making you feel good. That these habits are honestly borderline orthorexia. Food is simply meant to be enjoyed in moderation. The way I like to put it is that there are foods high in nutrition and foods high in pleasure. And it's all about focusing on these foods which are high in nutrition and high in pleasure, both of them, not just one or the other. And no, I'm not trying to force yourself to enjoy something. If you honestly prefer 2 pieces of a chocolate bar, and you get so much pleasure and satisfaction for it, why would you go for cacao nibs if it can taste really bitter or not really much like chocolate? On a positive spin, it can be possible to start having these discussions, and once you start these discussions with your almond mom, this could spark conversations to build a healthy relationship and a safe space in your home or wherever you're living. And you can recover together. You can start healing your relationship with your food together. If you found this episode helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you rated this podcast well and shared it with others to raise awareness of the almond mom culture, which we all need to debunk. I really hope your conversation with your almond mom goes well, and remember, I'm always here for you if you need me. If you need support with your relationship with your food or want to start finding food freedom, this could honestly look like being free from 24/7 thoughts around food and to simply just enjoy life. Then I offer one-to-one coaching, which is in the link in my bio, so book a spot now. Alternatively, you could join my self-paced binge eating freedom course, which is in the link in my bio also. It includes lots of videos, quizzes, downloadables, and articles on everything I wish I knew that I needed when I was struggling with binge eating, so I can just recover much, much faster. So thank you once again, and see you in the next episode. If you found this podcast helpful, you would definitely benefit from my binge eating freedom course in my website, bingedietitian.com. Learn more about the triggers to why you're binge eating and how to stop binge eating for good. No more food guilt, no more jumping from diet to diet, and no more shame. Go to the link in this episode for my binge eating freedom course to be one step closer to being binge free, starting today.